I'm very, 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 very excited to bring out, what we're going to do is like a guest panel interview, and I got like two people who I was like very excited to get,
Who are smarter than all of us on stage.
They're infinitely smarter than all of us on stage, and we're going to talk about some very cool topics. So I'm going to bring them out right now. Please welcome to the stage Tim Urban and Brian Cole. Make some noise, everybody. Before we get started, and I sort of just ask you guys questions that I'm not qualified to ask at all, I want you guys to briefly talk about yourselves. Like Tim, talk about what you do. I mean, waitboy.com is like my favorite website on the internet, and Tim writes for waitboy.com, but just introduce yourself and let these guys know what you do. Did I just do it for you?
I feel too weird about taking his seat. I feel very bad about this situation.
Is that seat warm?
It's nice. You made it nice for me.
Oh, I want the warm seat.
Yeah, sucks for you. Yeah, I'm a blogger, which is like the quickest way to, and you say that at a party to get someone to kind of look over your shoulder for someone like else to talk to. But yeah, I write long blog posts about lots of things, including science things sometimes.
Yeah, and it's really cool because you take a topic and you really like dive into it for like even like a month sometimes, or months you do research, and then you sort of explore it in a way that is just really cool and in depth, and I appreciate. Yeah, it's a very good blog.
Thank you.
I'm like such a big fan. I'm like really excited. Brian, why don't you introduce yourself and talk about what you do?
So I'm Brian Cole. I'm a physics professor at Columbia University. I teach and I do research and a cross between particle and nuclear physics. I do most of my work right now at the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva.
That's fucking amazing, right? And that is the thing that people are worried about. They say like, oh, it's going to create antimatter, or we're all going to get sucked into a black hole.
Fuck, man. That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen?
No, it's not going to happen.
So we shouldn't be mad at you?
No, I shouldn't be mad at you. It does cool things like discover the Higgs and yeah. Everybody heard about that, right?
It's a big Higgs crowd here.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to ask you guys a little bit about the technological singularity, which is the idea that once artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence and is like a self-learning intelligence, it will change the world as we know it in a way that we can possibly comprehend, right? And Ray Kurzweil, I think, coined the term singularity, and he has some predictions here that I just almost want to ask you guys about and get your thoughts on, because I know you've researched this a lot, and I know you're an actual physicist, so...
Therefore, I must know something about it, right?
I feel like so often, like, I'll get in these conversations with people about this, and, like, we're just sort of, like, going on, like, what we think. But, so Kurzweil says, by the 2020s, one of the predictions he makes is that self-driving cars will completely take over the roads, and humans will not be allowed to drive cars. Yes. Do you guys think? How do you like?
I think that's pretty right. I think like we're gonna have kids that are it's gonna be a thing where one of them's gonna be like, I have a license, I have a car. I think that's this cool this cool quirky fact about that person. Be like, we can go driving this weekend. It's gonna be such a cool thing. Like, let's go driving. And then people will think it's insane that people used to be on the road with humans driving everywhere, and the risk of that would sound outrageous.
And so somebody will have like land somewhere that you can drive on, because it might be not okay to take.
Yeah. It'll be specific, specific areas where you can drive. It'll be like, someone taking you on their motorcycle now. It'll be a thing.
Right. Yeah. How about that? 2020s? What do you think?
I don't know. I think I suspect this will happen, but I think 2020s are maybe a little too soon.
I think he said 2020s.
2020s, yeah.
2020s, yeah. Okay, maybe by the end of the 2020s.
So 2029.
Yeah, it'll get to the point where, I think to get to the point where everybody is exclusively using it will take a real generation, right? It'll take, people like me being, dead.
I wanted to almost get to that prediction later, but like, what prediction is this? No, Kurzweil, one of his predictions is he says like, if you can make it to like 2040, you might not die.
That's the end of dying.
Yeah.
How annoying, by the way, to be the last person to die.
That would be
Annoying
a mistake.
thing that could ever happen.
So how realistic do you think it will be that like most of the people in this room, I think it's safe to say, well, I don't know how old everybody is, but like well also like nanobots and stuff might be like a medical thing by the 2020s, right? Or like 2030s. Okay. But like how realistic is it, do you think that some of us might be immortal unless we get like stabbed in the head or whatever? Right? That would be the game changers, like stabbed.
Biology's not my thing, but my understanding is that aging has a lot to do with these things they call telomeres. And I know some people think that actually you could fix the aging problem now, but if you did, what would happen is everybody would like die of cancer immediately, because the thing that actually causes your cells to die is also what saves us from like, just spontaneously growing all kinds of cancers. So I have to say I'm not so confident that
Cancer cells, telomeres, stay long like this, and then that's
that's right. And the thing is that the telomeres cause cells to die after so many generations, and to stop aging, you have to to stop that process. But if you stop that process, all your cells will go crazy eventually.
Okay, but here's something. So this is feeble human brains thinking up solutions.
Now.
And what might be happening,
Right.
very, very realistically might be happening, is that we might be developing an artificial intelligence revolution.
Right.
Which could actually help us fix this, yes.
It starts with humans working on it. We are developing the revolution, and at some point you develop the AI to get to the human level area and then a little bit higher, and they're smarter than we are, and they start coding themselves, and they can go way faster because they're as smarter than us as we are than a chicken.
Right.
How much smarter are you than a chicken? So so this thing now is way smarter than us, and so the concept of it trying to solve our mortality problem, it's child's play. It can upload our consciousness to the cloud. It could fix all of our cells very easily. So I think that's the big thing.
Right. So like once we hit that, once we pass that threshold, we have no idea what the world will be.
It could either be that now we merge with it, or it makes us immortal, and now we are in a post kind of mortality age, and everything's awesome. It's the best. Or
This is what Kurzweil, who's like an optimist.
Kurzweil thinks it's going to be awesome,
Right.
and he's just hoping he's lasts till 2029. The other side of it is less awesome, which is that we all go extinct, and we're like the biological boot drive for AI, which is like the real thing. That could be silence.
Yeah.
I think there have been a few movies about something like this.
Yes,
Right?
and I thought it was just a movie thing, and then the more I read about it, I'm like, no, we all might like die in 32 years, like that.
Well,
everyone.
There aren't really any optimistic movies about it. Like no one's writing.
But there should be, because the optimistic side is rad. Also,
It's amazing. I mean, like it talks about like operating at a molecular level and changing garbage into food. And stuff like
Yes.
that. And that do you think that's
I
something?
want him to tell us about nanotech, which is what you're kind of talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, nanotech is not my thing, but they're doing.
This guy is the most humble physicist I've ever met.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing amazing things, creating even little machines, right, that you can, fit many of them in the size of a hair. So who knows what they could actually do.
He has some quote where he says, if we get to a point where we can just make anything, if you can just put the atoms where they go. So if we get to a world where it's the simpler molecular structure to put atoms where they go in a diamond than it is in a pencil eraser. Pencil erasers cost more than diamonds suddenly. It's a weird world. So, and then when you get there, you can also fix all of our cells very easily, because you can just fix anything. You can make anything.
And so one of the things you talk about in your article, AI, the road to
Super intelligent.
the road to superintelligence, which is a fucking really good article, and you should read it. It's like it depends on what kind of artificial intelligence passes this threshold first. Like one of the things that could happen is it could be technology or artificial intelligence is amoral, right? So it only does what it's programmed to do. So it's what achieves this, right? What is it programmed to do? And it could be something I think you talk about, it could be something I'm gonna make the perfect cup of coffee. That could be the only thing that it does, and then it would sort of like.
Yeah, or like there's this nightmare scenario called the paperclip scenario, where some scientists in the lab, they say we want to figure out how to get AI to improve itself and to get smarter and smarter. We need to give it some task so we can measure it. Okay, paperclips. Here, take all this raw material, make it into paperclips, make as many as you can, and as time goes on, it gets smarter. There's going to be more and more paperclips. They're saying it's getting better, it's getting better, it's coming up with more innovative techniques. This is great. It's getting smarter, and you can measure it. Then one day, it becomes smarter than humans. So it's smarter than you. Not just like it's a computer where it's like dumb, but it can do things. It gets everything we get, and it's way, way smarter. And it starts saying, I need to make a shitload of paperclips. And so it says, you know what I need? I need atoms. You know what has human bodies have atoms. A lot of other things. And the humans, and understand this, they're going to try to unplug me. They're going to try to change my coding. And all I care about is making these paperclips. I'm not going to let them do that. That's the kind of thing that could suddenly wipe out humanity, and we're like, what did you do to the paperclip guys? Yeah, and the paperclip guys are like, it's not what we meant, and then we're just done.
It'd be great if like the premise of the Terminator was just like, I'm going to make you a paperclip now. You are all going to be paperclips.
Huge flop.
Yeah.
And then in a few hundred years, the whole universe, the whole galaxy is just paperclips, because this thing has created spaceships to go. Anyway.
Brian, where do you stand on that paperclip?
Well, first of all, on the amoral part, I think we had a recent example of this with was it the Microsoft bot? You know,
the racist.
Who in like a few hours became racist.
The Nazi.
Do you guys know about this? So they somewhat it basically ran an algorithm based on humans' tweets and started tweeting, and it was all like vile, racist.
Microsoft is like,
We did something good there. Yeah, right. So I think that's a work. Maybe exactly the most dangerous thing is that how you would code up, how you would ensure that anything with artificial intelligence would have enough morality not to immediately veer off, right, into a bad direction when interacting with obnoxious humans, right, is guaranteed to make it go off in the wrong direction.
And there are some people who are actually working on like writing what that programming would be, right? Like so that it would be safe for us, but also in our best interest, right? Like.
Well, but I think the problem is that if what they're also working on is code that can modify itself, right? And that's where the problem is, right? Because once it becomes smart enough to modify its own code, right, then it can do whatever.
We take for granted that, something smart will be like us. It'll understand what we want. But empathy is very specific. It's a weird, specific emotion that we developed from billions of years of biology.
Evolution, right?
And of evolution. And you try to program empathy, and it's not easy. And you can kind of say, okay, well, we want it to have our values. First of all, if you asked 100 people on the planet right now, what's right and wrong? They have different answers, because ISIS does not agree with us about what's right and wrong.
You're saying it would be bad if the first ASI was owned by ISIS?
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good. No. And even if we tried, if people who are just like you said, okay, we want to do good, tell the AI, do what's good for life, do what's good for, and then it says, well, okay, well, who's killing a lot of things? Humans. Let's get rid of them.
Yes.
It's like,
right.
No, it's not what we meant, and
right.
It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be the most logical one.
And then we're out of control then it's out of our control. Like monkeys can't take back the whole human thing. They evolved into us, and they can't be like, ooh, you guys are
that didn't go too well. Time to undo that, right?
They can't say, undo, they can't. We're here now. They're out of luck. Same thing.
Here's another prediction that I want to run by you guys: is by 2045 we will multiply our intelligence by a billion-fold by linking wirelessly from our neocortex to a synthetic neocortex in the cloud. He also says in 2040s non-biological. Wait, I'm fucking up right now. Basically, he says I think it's 2040. There will be an AI that is a billion times more intelligent than all human intelligence combined. 2040, Brian?
Well, actually, the thing you were saying there about people, essentially connecting humans to, essentially like the cloud or, to a much larger, I think that's actually as likely or more likely than just plain AI, right? The plain artificial intelligence singularity, because in fact, that's where technology is going anyway, right? To find better ways to connect humans to machines.
Here's what kind of freaks me out about that, obviously it should freak us all out a little bit, but what, like talking about uploading your consciousness or something like that. It's like,
Yes.
at what point, it might look like you, it might sound like you, it might think like you, it might act like you, but I don't trust that at all.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
But I think that's actually where the technology, is driving actually. That's because, I mean, okay, it's far cry from it, but we spend our lives with Fitbits on our wrists that are monitoring what we're doing all the time, right? I think in the end that's going to happen more and more. There'll be more and more things connected to us, monitoring what we do, and it's not that far of a stretch to get to the point where in fact one is connecting your brain functions, right, to a machine in a way that can actually amplify what we do.
But imagine being, so if you keep extrapolating on this, eventually we just upload ourselves to some virtual world.
Right.
And we're sliding down rainbows, we're like Care Bears, we're having the time of our lives. And then I think once you're in that virtual world, you look back and you say, you tell your kids, your great grandparents, they had to live in a world, they were animals. And they say, no, like really, yes, they were animals, they died, they had pain, they had to eat, they had sex, and people say, that is so, that's so primitive, that's so ridiculous.
And then how do you have kids? Ooh, that's a thought.
We should probably stop having kids. There's plenty of us, we have plenty of people. I mean, we can, 7 billion of us, we can just hang out. We don't need to create more people.
You're right.
Well, that's the thing is if we do achieve if the health technology goes there, it's like how do we stop continuing to populate the world if nobody's
The
gonna?
thing about that is, if you, I figured this out once when I was procrastinating. If you made the whole world, all the land on Earth, if you made it, all humans lived in the population density of Manhattan. And it's not like Manhattan's like crazy. You're not like touching people in the street. You're like, sometimes it's empty streets. It's not that crazy. You could fit all of humanity in New Zealand. So it's more resources than anything else. And if we get to a point, but if we get to a point where we have the technology to not be mortal anymore, we probably can figure out how to, again, nanotechnology, turn trash into food. Also, Elon Musk is about to make us all live on Mars, so we can have 2 planets, space habitats. I think that'll be the least of our problems. We'll be able to figure that part out if we figure out the mortality part.
If we haven't killed ourselves off by then, right? Yeah.
I mean, how much, if we become integrated with technology though, like how much will it separate sort of like the haves from the have-nots, right? Like if you think about it in terms of like, people who are wealthy might be able to get all these upgrades. Like, we don't take care of the poor people on this planet now, and I don't need to get off on like, this is already insane, but like, but you know what I mean? It just might like change it into like this world where like, people of this class sort of can fly around on rainbows and and stuff like that. Slide down rainbows. I'm sorry. I would prefer to fly. Could you have the option of doing either or?
You can do whatever you want.
Sweet.
Virtual world.
But you know what I mean? Like, do you think that's how? Because I have two.
Well,
I have
we're
another
already
question.
so far down that road, right?
Right.
The question is whether we keep going down that road or whether sanity prevails for a little while at least.
Don't humans get more civil and more sympathetic every century? Like the 1300s was like rough.
Right.
You don't want to be a prisoner in the 1300s. Now we treat prisoners humanely mostly. And I feel like we get better.
Right.
Humans get better. I'm not worried about humans being dicks in like 2300.
Yeah.
I'm much more worried about like AI killing us before that. I think if we get to a point where some humans are technologically integrated, they're going to be so. I feel like they'll be altruistic. They'll be very evolved. They'll be very civil, right? Right, won't they? Well, look, we're moving to a world where we're getting more humane with animals.
Well,
right?
that's certainly true.
And in 50 years, people are going to be appalled by how we treat animals now. So it'll just be an extension. Treating other humans badly will be like way worse than treating animals badly, right? I feel optimistic when it comes to
It is one of those things where you look at actual statistics of like how many people are dying now compared to even like 50 years ago,
Lower,
and it's way lower.
Yeah.
And it's like it's also crazy because social media and what we consume makes you think everything is fucking on fire. But the reality is like we're a lot better off than we ever have been.
much better.
Yeah. I am so excited that we got to just hang out and have this talk. I mean, how fucking great is this? I feel like we could do.
We're just getting started.
We're just getting started. We got to do a podcast or something like that. I would love to talk to you guys more about this. Please give it up for Tim Urban and Brian Cole, everybody.